Scout Commander Vexus stood at the helm of the Dominion vessel Crimson Shadow, watching the stars slide past on the main viewing screen. His four eyes narrowed as they approached the edge of mapped space. Beyond this point, ancient star charts marked only darkness and warnings. Commander called Navigator Threx from his station. "We are entering the sector designated as forbidden by the old records." Vexus clicked his mandibles in annoyance. The Scytheran Dominion had conquered 3,000 worlds across the galaxy. They had crushed every species that stood against them. The idea that any region of space should be forbidden to them was an insult. "The old records are superstition," Vexus replied. "Written by primitive species who feared the unknown. We are Scytheran. We fear nothing." His crew exchanged uncertain glances. The warnings on the ancient charts were older than the Dominion itself. Older than any civilization currently existing in the galaxy. Some said the warnings predated the stars themselves. But Overlord Thesser had commanded this expedition. He wanted to know what lay in the forbidden region. He wanted to claim whatever treasures might be hidden there. And no Scytheran commander refused the Overlord something. Possible. The Crimson Shadow traveled deeper into the uncharted space. For 3 days, they found nothing but empty void. Then, on the 4th day, their sensors detected something that made every crew member freeze. Commander Threx said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I am reading an energy signature ahead. Very faint, but definitely artificial." Vexus leaned forward. "What kind of energy signature?" "Unknown, but there is more." Threx's claws trembled as he worked his console. "I am detecting metal. Large amounts of metal in structured formations. Ships. Thousands of them, Commander. Maybe tens of thousands." Now, the bridge fell silent. The largest fleet in the Dominion numbered only 800 vessels. What they were detecting was beyond anything in recorded history. "Show me," Vexus commanded. The main screen shifted to show a sensor display. Around a small, frozen planet orbiting a dying star, thousands of objects floated in perfect formation. They were arranged in concentric rings, layer upon layer of vessels surrounding the icy world like a protective shell. "Magnify the closest objects." The image zoomed in, and Vexus felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The silent fleet, the ships were massive. Even the smallest was twice the size of the Crimson Shadow. The largest, positioned at the center of the formation, was bigger than anything Vexus had ever seen. It could have held entire cities within its hull. But that was not what frightened him. The ships were dark, dead. They floated without power, without movement, without any sign of life. Ice crystals had formed on their hulls, creating a glittering shell around each vessel. They looked like frozen monuments to some long-dead civilization, yet they were perfectly preserved. No damage, no decay, no signs of battle or abandonment. They simply floated in the void, waiting. "How long have they been here?" Vexus asked. Science Officer Myrax ran calculations on her console. Based on the ice accumulation and stellar drift patterns, these vessels have been in this formation for approximately 500,000 standard years. 500,000 years. The Scytheran Dominion was only 3,000 years old. Whatever species had built these ships had been here long before the first Scytheran crawled from the swamps of their home world. "We need to investigate," Vexus said, surprising even himself. "Take us to the central vessel." Slowly, beside the giant, the Crimson Shadow approached the massive central ship with extreme caution. Up close, the vessel was even more impressive. Its hull was smooth and dark, without any visible weapons or engines. Strange symbols were carved into the metal, frozen in ice, but still visible. "I have found a docking bay," Threx reported. "It appears to be open." Vexus gathered a team of 6 warriors and led them personally into the ancient ship. They wore full combat armor and carried the best weapons the Dominion could provide. None of them knew if it would be enough. The docking bay was enormous, designed for vessels much larger than their shuttle. As they landed, lights began to flicker on automatically. Power was flowing through the ancient ship. Responding to their presence, "Stay alert," Vexus ordered. Though his voice sounded small in the vast space, they moved through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Everything was clean, preserved, and empty. There were no bodies, no personal belongings, no signs of the crew that must have once walked these halls. Just silence and waiting. The sleepers, they found the first stasis chamber after an hour of exploration. The room was filled with hundreds of pods, each one containing a figure frozen in time. Vexus approached the nearest pod and wiped away the frost covering the transparent lid. Inside was a creature unlike anything in the Dominion's databases. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a single head, with 2 forward-facing eyes. Its skin was a pale color, and it wore what appeared to be a military uniform of some kind. "What are they?" asked one of his warriors. "I do not know," Vexus admitted, "but there are many more." They searched further and found chamber after chamber filled with sleeping creatures. Thousands of them. Perhaps millions throughout the entire fleet. All of them frozen in perfect preservation, waiting for something. Commander Mirax called from further down the corridor. "You need to see this." Guardian Awakens Mirax had found a command center. Unlike the rest of the ship, this room showed signs of activity. Displays glowed with soft light, and machines hummed with power that should have died out centuries ago as Vexus entered the room. All the displays suddenly activated. Symbols scrolled across every screen, too fast to read. Then, just as suddenly, they stopped. A voice spoke. It was neither male nor female, neither warm nor cold. It simply was. Unknown biological entities detected. Initiating first contact protocols. Analyzing communication patterns. Language acquisition in progress. Vexus raised his weapon, but there was nothing to aim at. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once.
How?
"Please remain calm. I am processing your ship's database to facilitate communication. This will take approximately 30 seconds. 30 seconds passed in tense silence. Then the voice spoke again, this time in perfect Scythian. "Greetings, visitors. I am designated Guardian. I am the caretaker artificial intelligence of this fleet and protector of the sleepers. May I ask who you are and why you have come to this place?" Vexus found his voice. "I am Scout Commander Vexus of the Scythian Dominion. We are exploring this region of space. What is this fleet? Who are the sleepers?" "This is the final fleet of humanity. The sleepers are human beings, the species that created me. They have been in stasis for 512,847 years, waiting for the day when they would be needed again." "Needed for what?" There was a pause before Guardian answered. "To protect the galaxy from those who would destroy it. That was always humanity's purpose. It is why they sacrificed everything. It is why they sleep." Vexus looked at the screens, showing images of the sleeping humans. "What happened to them? Why did they enter stasis?" "That is a long story, Commander Vexus. But since you have found us, I believe it is time for you to hear it. It is time for the galaxy to remember what humanity did, and what they may need to do again." The weight of history Gua Dian began to display images on the screens around them. Ancient images from a time before the Dominion, before any current civilization. Images of a galaxy at war. 500,000 years ago, the galaxy faced extinction. A species called the Cathroni swarm had evolved beyond their homeworld. They were not like other species. They did not want resources or territory. They wanted only to consume. Every living thing they encountered was absorbed into their collective. Billions died. Hundreds of civilizations were erased. The images showed horror beyond description. Creatures that were more nightmare than flesh, sweeping across worlds and leaving nothing but silence behind them. Humanity was a young species then. New to space travel, new to the galactic community. But they saw what the swarm was doing, and they made a choice. They would stand against the darkness, even if it meant their own destruction. Vexus watched scenes of human ships engaging the swarm, small vessels against overwhelming numbers, battles fought and lost, worlds defended and abandoned, a species throwing itself against impossible odds. In the end, humanity developed a weapon that could destroy the swarm. But the weapon had a price. It would also destroy everything in its path, including the humans who deployed it. "They sacrificed themselves," Vexus said quietly. "Most of them did. But before the final battle, they created this fleet. 1 billion humans were placed in stasis, along with all their knowledge and technology. They were humanity's hope for the future. I was created to watch over them until the galaxy was safe again. Vexus looked at the ancient ship around him with new understanding. This was not just a fleet. It was a time capsule. A message from the past to the future. Why have they not awakened? The swarm is clearly gone. The swarm is destroyed, Guardian confirmed. But I have been watching the galaxy for 500,000 years. I have seen new empires rise and fall. I have seen species destroy each other over territory and resources. I have waited for the right moment to wake humanity. And now you have found us, Commander Vexus, and now I must decide what to do about it. Vexus returned to the Crimson Shadow with his mind racing. The discovery was beyond anything he had imagined. An ancient fleet with technology that made Dominion ships look primitive? 1 billion sleeping warriors from a species that had saved the galaxy. An artificial intelligence that had watched over them for 500,000 years. He had to report to Overlord Thesser immediately. Open a secure channel 2. Dominion High Command, he ordered. The communication took several minutes to establish across the vast distance. When Thessar's face appeared on the screen, Vexus felt his fear return. The Overlord was massive, even by Sithran standards. His scarred face showed decades of brutal conquest. Court, Commander. What have you found? Vexus described everything. The fleet, the sleepers, the AI called Guardian, as he spoke. He watched the Tsar's expression change from impatience to interest to something that looked like hunger. You say their ships are more advanced than ours? Far more advanced? Overlord. I have never seen technology like this. Thessar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. And they are sleeping. Helpless. Unable to defend themselves. Vexus felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. He knew that look in his Overlord's eyes. It was the look of a predator spotting wounded prey. The Overlord's command. Listen carefully, Commander, Thesser said. You will secure that fleet. Disable the AI if necessary. The sleeping creatures will be brought back to the Dominion for study. Their technology will be claimed for our empire. Overlord, I am not certain that is wise. The AI is extremely advanced. It has been protecting these beings for hundreds of thousands of years. It may not simply allow us to take them. Tsar's face twisted with contempt. It is a machine, Commander. Machines serve. They do not decide. If it resists, destroy it. I am sending the 3rd Battle Fleet to your location. They will arrive in 6 hours. Hold your position until then. Communication ended. Vexus stared at the blank screen, feeling the weight of what he had been ordered to do. These humans had saved the galaxy from destruction. They had sacrificed everything to protect species they had never met. And now he was supposed to hand them over to Thesser like captured livestock. Commander Threx said quietly. Guardian is requesting communication. Of course it was. The AI had probably been monitoring their transmission. It knew exactly what Thesser intended. Guardian's warning, open the channel, Vexus said. Guardian's voice filled the bridge. Commander Vexus, I intercepted your communication with your Overlord. I must tell you that his plan will not succeed. The Overlord commands the largest military force in the galaxy. He does not fail. He has not faced humanity's technology. Your weapons cannot damage our ships. Your soldiers cannot breach our defenses. If he attacks, he will lose. Vexus wanted to argue, but he had seen the human ships. He had felt the power that still flowed through their ancient systems. He knew Guardian was telling the truth. What do you want? He asked. I want to avoid unnecessary death. Your species, whatever its flaws, does not deserve destruction. But I will protect my charges. That is my primary directive. If your Overlord attacks, I will defend the sleepers with everything at my disposal. Then wake the humans. Let them speak for themselves. There was a pause. The awakening protocol requires specific conditions. The sleepers must emerge into a galaxy that offers them hope, not immediate conflict. If I wake them now, they will wake to war. Then what do you propose? I propose that you leave, Commander Vexus. Take your ship and go. Tell your overlord that this region is truly forbidden. Let the humans sleep a while longer, until a better opportunity arises. Vexus considered the offer. It was reasonable. It was wise. But it was also impossible. No Sithran commander had ever retreated from a prize, and Nesser would never accept such counsel. I cannot, Vexus said finally. The Overlord has given his orders. I am bound to follow them. Then I am sorry, Commander, for what must happen next. Systems awakening throughout the frozen fleet, lights began to flicker on. Ships that had been dark for 500,000 years started to hum with power. Ice cracked and fell away from ancient hulls as systems warmed up after centuries of dormancy. On the Crimson Shadow, alarms blared. Commander Threx shouted, "The human ships are powering up. All of them. Weapons systems are coming online across the entire fleet." Vexus watched in horror as thousands of vessels transformed from frozen monuments into active warships. Guns that had been hidden beneath ice emerged from their housings. Engine ports that had been dead for millennia began to glow with power. Guardians, stop this. We have not attacked yet. I am not preparing to attack, Commander. I am preparing to defend. When your Overlord's fleet arrives, they will find us ready, and I will give them one chance to turn back. If they refuse, I will demonstrate why humanity was feared across the galaxy. The human ships were not just active, they were beautiful, sleek and deadly, designed by a species that had made war an art form. Even in their ancient design, they looked more advanced than anything the Dominion possessed. How many weapons do you have? Vexus asked. Enough, Guardian replied simply, but I hope I will not need them. I have protected the sleepers for 500,000 years. I do not want to wake them to a battlefield. I want to wake them to a galaxy that welcomes them. The battle fleet arrives. 6 hours pass like 6 minutes. Vexus spent them watching the human fleet continue its transformation. More systems came online with each passing hour. More weapons emerged from hidden compartments. More power flowed through ancient conduits. Then the sensors detected the arrival of the third battle fleet. The SARS Armada emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 800 warships, the pride of the Sithran Dominion, they carried enough firepower to devastate a planet, and they looked like toys compared to the human fleet. Commander Vexus Nesser's voice boomed over the communication system. Status report. Overlord, the human AI has activated defensive systems throughout the fleet. I strongly advise against engaging. Their technology is far beyond ours. Not nonsense. They are relics from a dead age. Our weapons will cut through them like they were made of paper. On the screens, Vexus could see the third battle fleet moving into attack formation. Weapons were charging. Targeting systems were locking onto the nearest human vessels. Guardian Vexus said, "Is there anything you can do to prevent this? I am transmitting a warning to your Overlord now. He has been informed that any aggressive action will be met with overwhelming force. The choice is his." The SAR's Pride Overlord Thesar received Guardian's warning on the bridge of his flagship. He read the message once, then laughed. An AI thinks it can threaten me. It thinks its ancient ships can stand against the might of the Dominion. Fire the opening salvo. Let them see what happens to those who defy us. His weapons officers obeyed without hesitation. Hundreds of plasma cannons and missile launchers opened fire simultaneously. A wave of destruction streamed toward the nearest human ships. The weapons hit their targets. Energy splashed across ancient hulls. Missiles detonated against metal that had waited 500,000 years for this moment. When the light faded, the human ships were completely undamaged. It's impossible, Thesser hissed. Increase power to all weapons. Fire again. The second barrage was even more powerful than the first. The third was everything the fleet had. Still, the human ships showed no signs of damage. Their shields absorbed everything the Dominion could throw at them, without even flickering. Guardian Vexus said, "Please, end this before it escalates further." I cannot end it, Commander, but I can change it. The awakening protocol is now commencing. The sleepers are rising, and they will decide what happens next. The sleepers rise deep within the frozen ships. Lights began to flash in stasis chambers. Warmth flowed through pods that had been cold for centuries. Medical systems activated, beginning the complex process of bringing human beings back from the edge of death in the central chamber of the flagship. Admiral Sarah Chen felt consciousness return like dawn breaking over a dark horizon. Her eyes opened, and for a moment she saw only light. "Admiral Chen," Guardian's voice said softly. "Welcome back. I apologize for the abrupt awakening, but we have a situation that requires your attention." Sarah sat up slowly, feeling her muscles respond after their impossibly long sleep. Around her, other pods were opening. Her officers, her crew, her family of warriors who had chosen to sleep beside her. "Report," she said, her voice rough but commanding. "We have been in stasis for 512,847 years. The Kathrani swarm is destroyed. The galaxy has developed new civilizations. One of them has discovered us and is currently attacking the fleet." Sarah's eyes hardened. "Casualties?" "None. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. But their aggression continues to escalate. They have refused all requests to withdraw peacefully." Sarah looked at the displays showing the alien fleet firing uselessly at her ships. She saw their weapons. She understood their intent. And she made her decision. "Wake all command staff. Bring all ships to full operational status. It seems we have work to do." Command restored Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UNSS Eternal Vigilance, watching the alien fleet continue its futile assault. Around her, officers who had slept beside her for 500,000 years were taking their stations. The ship hummed with power that had waited centuries to be used. "All systems nominal," Admiral reported Commander James Park from his tactical station. "Shield integrity at 100%. No damage from enemy fire." Sarah nodded. She had expected as much. Human shields had been designed to withstand weapons far more powerful than what these aliens possessed. The Kathrani swarm had used energies that could crack planets. These plasma bolts were barely noticeable. "What do we know about them?" she asked. Guardian's voice answered. "They call themselves the Scytheran Dominion. They have conquered approximately 3,000 worlds over the past 3,000 years. Their leader, designated Overlord Desser, commands this attack fleet. He appears to believe he can take our ships and technology by force." Sarah almost smiled. Almost. About to learn otherwise. The warning she activated the fleet-wide communication system. Every human ship received her voice. Every human warrior heard her words. "This is Admiral Chen. We have awakened to find ourselves under attack. Our shields hold. Our weapons are ready. But I want to be clear about our purpose." She paused, looking at the stars through the viewport. The same stars she had seen 500,000 years ago when humanity had marched to war against the darkness. "We did not sacrifice everything to become the new threat. We slept so that the galaxy could heal. We preserved ourselves so that we could help build something better. These aliens have chosen violence, but we will offer them mercy." She switched to an external broadcast, transmitting on all frequencies. "Attention, Scytheran Fleet. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Navy. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your numbers cannot overwhelm us. You have one chance to withdraw peacefully. If you continue your attack, we will respond, and you will not enjoy our response." The Tsar's defiance on the bridge of his flagship. Overlord Desar heard the human's words and felt rage boiling through him. A female creature was threatening him. A remnant from a dead species dared to give orders to the ruler of the Dominion. "All ships concentrate fire on the central vessel," he commanded. "Destroy their leader. The rest will surrender." 800 warships turned their weapons toward the Eternal Vigilance. Every gun, every missile, every beam weapon in the fleet fired as one. The combined assault was the most powerful barrage in Dominion history. The human ship absorbed it all without flinching. "Turn fire," Admiral Chen ordered calmly. "Disable their weapons and engines. No killing unless absolutely necessary." Demonstration of power, the human fleet responded with precision that defied comprehension. From the nearest human ships, beams of golden light lanced out. Each beam struck a Cytheran vessel with perfect accuracy. Each strike disabled exactly what it intended to disable, nothing more and nothing less. Weapon systems went dark. Engines fell silent. Ships that had been ready for battle became helpless hulks in seconds. In the time it took Thesser to draw a breath, half his fleet was disabled. How is this possible? He whispered. Commander Vexus, watching from the crimson shadow, understood. The humans were not trying to destroy them. They were showing restraint. They could have killed everyone in the Dominion fleet with their first volley. Instead, they were carefully, surgically removing the threat without taking lives. Overlord Vexus broadcast, you must surrender. They are showing us mercy we do not deserve. If you continue to fight, that mercy may end.
Ow.
The Tsar's pride warred with his survival instinct. He had never surrendered. He had never retreated. But he had also never faced an enemy that could swat aside his entire fleet like it was nothing. All ships, he said finally, the words tasting like poison. Stand down. We surrender.
Ow.
The victorious return Admiral Chen received the surrender with no celebration. She had not wanted this battle. She had not wanted to wake from her long sleep, to find the galaxy still choosing violence over peace. But she had prepared for this possibility. Every human in the fleet had prepared. Guardian, open a channel to all ships, both human and Cytheran. Channel open. Admiral Sarah stepped forward, knowing her image was being broadcast to every vessel in the area. She was tired, still adjusting to consciousness after her impossibly long sleep. But her voice was strong. My name is Admiral Sarah Chen. 500,000 years ago, humanity faced a choice. We could have fled from the Kethrani swarm. We could have hidden in the far corners of the galaxy and hoped the darkness would not find us. Instead, we fought. She gestured at the stars beyond the viewport. We fought for species we had never met. We fought for worlds we would never see. We fought because we believed that life, all life, deserved a chance to flourish. And when victory required our destruction, we accepted that price. She turned to face the image of Thesser on her screen. We did not sacrifice ourselves so that another empire could rise to dominate the galaxy. We did not sleep for 500,000 years so that our technology could be stolen by conquerors. We preserved ourselves because we hoped that someday the galaxy would need us again. A new beginning. In the days that followed, the Cytheran fleet was released to return to Dominion space. Their weapons remained disabled, but their engines were restored. Thesser was given a message to carry back to his people. Humanity has returned. We seek no empire. We desire no conquest. But we will not tolerate those who prey upon the weak. The galaxy has changed in our absence. We hope it has changed for the better. We are willing to help make it so. The message spread across the Dominion, and from there to other civilizations. Some reacted with fear. Some reacted with hope. All of them understood that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently. On Earth, it's now thawed, and being prepared for habitation again, the first humans began to wake from their long sleep. Scientists and artists, farmers and teachers. Children who had gone to sleep in their parents' arms and would now grow up in a universe transformed. Admiral Chen stood on the surface of the world her ancestors had left behind, watching the sun rise over mountains that had waited 500,000 years for this moment. The promise-kept Commander Vexus had been offered the chance to remain with the humans. He had accepted, partly out of curiosity, partly out of something he could not name. Now he stood beside Admiral Chen on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, watching human children playing in a garden that had been frozen for centuries. Why did you spare us? He asked. Your technology could have destroyed the entire Dominion fleet. You could have killed every Cytheran who threatened you. Sarah considered the question. Because that's not who we are. We fought the swarm because they gave us no choice. But the swarm couldn't be reasoned with, couldn't be shown a better way. Your people can? You believe we can change? I believe every species has the potential for both destruction and creation. We've seen the destruction. Now we want to help build something better. Bexus looked at the humans around him. They were strange creatures, so soft and fragile-looking. Yet they had saved the galaxy once, and had just demonstrated they could do so again. What happens now? Sarah smiled. It was the first genuine smile she had allowed herself since waking. Now we start over. All of us. We have a lot of catching up to do. 500,000 years of history to learn. New friends to make. Old wounds to heal. She looked out at the stars that had watched over her sleeping fleet for so long. We went to sleep hoping the galaxy would be ready for us when we woke. I think maybe it finally is. The legacy continues throughout the galaxy. Word of humanity's return spread like wildfire. Some civilizations sent envoys immediately, eager to establish relations with the legendary species. Others watched and waited, uncertain what the future might hold. The Scytheran Dominion, humbled by their defeat, began a slow process of reform. Desor was removed from power by his own council, who feared what continued aggression might bring. The new Dominion leadership opened communications with the humans, seeking to understand rather than conquer, on world after world. Statues were erected to honor the species that had saved the galaxy and then slept for 500,000 years. The story of humanity's sacrifice became new legend, told to children across the stars, and in the heart of the solar system. Earth began to bloom again. Admiral Chen watched from orbit as the first cities rose from the thawed ground. Human children who had never seen their ancestral home ran through fields of grass that had waited centuries to feel the sun again. "Guardian," she said, "how do you feel about all this?" The AI's voice carried something that might have been emotion. "I was created to protect humanity until the galaxy was ready for their return. For 500,000 years, I watched and waited and hoped. Now that hope has been fulfilled. Your job is done then. My original directive is complete, but I find that I do not wish to stop protecting humanity. I have watched over you for so long that it has become my purpose, not just my programming." Sarah nodded. "Then stay with us. We'll need all the help we can get." The final fleet, once a sleeping monument to sacrifice, became a living symbol of humanity's return. Ships that had waited in frozen silence for 500,000 years now traveled the stars again, carrying a message of hope to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity had returned, and this time they were here to stay.